Without further ado, Diana Thompson, Mentoring Heroes on Their Journey. Mentoring Heroes on Their Journey, Diana Thompson.
It is such an honor and a privilege to be here with educators who are working with the highest risk youth in our population. I had some experience in working with that population myself. One summer, I created a summer camp for Denver Juvenile Court. These kids were in drug and alcohol treatment. They all had violent offenses, and they were from rival gangs. I had the privilege of keeping them engaged, off the streets, and entertained for 180 hours. Let's just say this was a tough crowd. Every morning, I arrived to the studio to find Alan. Alan was leaning against the door. He looked bored, tired, and pretty much over it. I opened the door, he went straight to the couch, he laid down, and he went to sleep. The biggest problem that I had with Alan was to get him off the couch. He never wanted to do anything. And that was just one of the dozen students that I worked with. And then there was Allie. She had this energy that just oozed of sensuality, and she was always looking for attention. And she usually got it because she was one of only a couple of girls in the room. My biggest problem with Allie was keeping track of her, especially during break time. Then there was Davon. Now, Davon had a pretty interesting technique in bullying. He would identify whoever he didn't like that day. He'd look at them and just go, bam! And then he'd look around to get people to laugh and to join in this bullying. He had a thirst for violence. When I met him, I thought, that is the one person I've ever met who's most likely to kill someone. And it didn't matter. Because every one of these kids I looked at and I went, you are a hero. Now, the other teachers that I hired thought I was crazy. Because these don't seem like your typical hero, but then we have to define what is a hero. I define it in this way. A hero is anyone who solves a problem, or they're working towards solving a problem. That makes a hero. If you're showing up in the morning, you're being a hero, because let's face it, for these kids, getting out of bed demanded superhuman strength. But there are a lot of different definitions for what it means to be a hero. This last spring, I attended the Hero Roundtable Conference in San Francisco. And this is a group of professionals who are dedicated to understanding, researching, celebrating, educating heroes. And they had a lot of great examples of heroes on the stage. One of them was a woman who was driving down a California highway and suddenly became a first responder when she pulled a fellow driver from a crushed car while her 5-year-old child was screaming, "Mom, don't," because the car was on fire. No one would dispute that is what it means to be a hero. But I look at heroes as a spectrum. She represented the PhD level of heroes. But the kids that I was working with, the kids that you work with, well, they're kindergarten students in the world of heroes and in the world of problem solving. But just because they're beginning, does that make them any less of a student than a PhD? No, they're still students. They're just learning at the level that they're learning. And when we look at our students, we can't even imagine the kind of problems that they face. In fact, I believe they have even greater potential to be a hero because their problems are so big. In working with these students, I really had very little idea of what their problems were. Once the program was over, I started hearing bits and pieces and stories and rumors that made the picture start to come into place. For example, Alan, as it turned out, got there every morning because he walked 5 miles to get there. because Alan was living under a bridge. Yeah, when I opened the door, he went straight to the couch and lay down because it was a safe place to lay his head on a soft pillow. Yeah, he slept all day. And why wouldn't he? I later heard that Allie was very possibly a sex trafficked victim. So why wouldn't she look for approval and attention in that way? And Davon, well, his brothers were in jail for violent offenses, both of them. So, joking around about violence, well, that's just what they did at home. If you were to commit an act of violence and go to jail, it could be a reunion. The problems that these students faced were so big, they had perhaps a greater chance of becoming heroes. But they have to start somewhere. And of course, in the beginning, the problems seem so vast, and as educators, it seems that the things that we're teaching them are inconsequential. But if we can look at the subjects that we are teaching them as a vehicle to teach them these skills that they need to face the challenges in their life, then we've got another way to help them reach their hero potential. For example, when we treat our students as being heroes, then we treat them differently. And then they can see themselves and their problems differently. Math is no longer just math. It's a way to teach a kid to ask for help when they need it. If Alan had told me that he was walking 5 miles, I could have gotten a bus pass. If he had told me he was sleeping under a bridge, we could have found resources. All I needed to do was ask for help. For a student like Allie, a class can become an opportunity to find a voice, to speak up about something else that she's interested in, curious about, passionate about, to find another way to gain attention. And for Davon, all he needed was a place to really feel a sense of community and belonging and people who cared about him outside of this very dysfunctional family that he had. We can give our students other tools through the subjects that we teach. With any luck at all, your students will grow up. They will graduate. With any luck at all, they will become adults. And when they do, they're going to hear voices in their heads. They will hear voices of the critics that say, you can't do it. You're a throwaway kid. Nobody's got time for you. Or they can hear your voice, the voice of the mentor that mattered, the one that says, you're a hero. Now go solve a problem.